you may be itching to shout and make noise, please do not. Allow them to remain calm. Alright? Thank you so much. Hi, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very well.
Wonderful. Please take a question. And this is contestant number 1. Her question reads, what do you think should be done to reduce the number of road injuries and fatalities in Jamaica? What do you think should be done to reduce the number of road injuries and fatalities in Jamaica?
What I think should be done to reduce the number of road fatalities and injuries in Jamaica, I think we should rotate police on the red hotspots. Also, with the new Road Traffic Act in place, I think we should offer stricter penalties for who I think we should make sure that it is enforced, strongly enforced. Also, make them pocket it. If the Road Traffic Act is broken, I think we should suspend license for a minimum of 6 months. Thank you.
Moving on to contestant number 2. How are you doing, my darling? You look radiant in red.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead. Contestant number 2, your question reads, there are those who say artificial intelligence will soon be replacing humans. To what extent do you believe this to be true or not? There are those who say artificial intelligence will soon be replacing humans. To what extent do you believe this to be true or not?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and judges. I believe that artificial intelligence cannot replace human beings. It is the very human beings that created artificial intelligence. What artificial intelligence does not have is human emotions and the ability to make decisions, and that cannot be replaced. We have seen where artificial intelligence can be beneficial but also destructive. We've seen where artificial intelligence helps us to communicate, to do medical research, but we've also seen that it has stunted our children's learning capabilities because we rely on it. So it's just a case where new things happen, there are implications, and we just need to balance it so that we do not rely on artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Jamelia, as a young person living and growing up in Jamaica, what are some of the concerns that you have, if any, and how do you propose for them to be addressed? As a young person living and growing up in Jamaica, what are some of the concerns that you have, if any, and how do you propose for them to be addressed?
Good evening, everyone. As a young girl living in Jamaica, there are some concerns that I have personally. The first one, coming from friendship, I have a problem with the poor condition of the roads. This not only affects adults on times, but also students, as it affects our punctuality and forces us to be behind in our classes because of how difficult it is to get taxis on a daily basis. And in addition to that, even though my second concern, even though it's not recognized an issue in Jamaica, would have to be heightism. This discrimination against height exists in Jamaica, especially in our social settings or dating and employment. I have experienced persons projecting their fears on me based on my aspirations and my height. And not only that, but I am perceived as less competent in certain areas. The third concern that I have, and the most important one, it would be how expensive tertiary education is. For low-income families and students, the price or the expense of tertiary education is just too high. Especially for me, who have recently lost my father and is now depending on my single mother to transition from Holland High School to the University of the West Indies. The government has implemented policies and initiatives to help this issue, but like for example scholarships, loans and work programs. But I believe that more can be done to ensure that all students, whether or not they are from a rich background, they can also benefit from also pursuing higher education.
Contestant number 4 just took her question. She's reading it now. Thank you. Your question is for Jamaica to become a republic. Are there any concerns that you have about this process? Things are currently being put in place for Jamaica to become a republic. Are there any concerns that you have about this process?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If Jamaica is supposed to be transformed into a republic, there are a few concerns that I would have, and among these concerns are: one, what form of a governance structure would we then embark upon? Would we have a ceremonial president, or would we have an executive president? Wow. As it relates to a ceremonial president, would we have a head of state and also a head of government that overrules and see the making of rules and regulations, or would we combine these two offices into one? And two, where would our final court of appeal be? Because if Jamaica moves to a republic, we wouldn't be under the British monarchy anymore. That means we wouldn't have the Privy Council. Would we then use CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Appeal? Where would our final court of appeal be? Because it is important to any country or republic to have a justice system that we can rely on to make our final decisions.
Good one. Woo!
Thank you. Contestant number 5 takes her question.
Woo,
She's reading it now. And her question reads: what is this indomitable spirit that Jamaicans are said to have? What is this indomitable spirit that Jamaicans are said to have?
Good evening, everyone. The word indomitable is synonymous to resilience. We Jamaicans have proven that we are not subjects of failure. We are not subjects of failure. We prove to be strong, immovable, and tolerant. This is shown how we dominate globally in music, in sports, in the arts, and even in many other areas. even in ways that most of us can relate to. The seeing of ordinary people on the street, hustlers, beating the odds to make ends meet. This indomitable spirit, is what allows us to stand undefeated.
Thank you so much. And now we are at contestant number 6. Please take the question. And her question reads, violence against women and children in Jamaica, some would say, is on the increase. If you had the opportunity to address this issue, what would you do and why? Violence against women and children in Jamaica, some would say, is on the increase. If you had the opportunity to address this issue, what would you do and why?
If I had a chance to do something about this, I would firstly advocate for stricter penalties when it comes on to persons who commit these heinous crimes. And I believe by demanding the strict and lawful action, and demanding, because I'm sure that we have all seen where the justice system has kind of been waiting. It has been seen where we limit our justice. I would advocate for this because having them demand this, it would say to these perpetrators that we do not condone these actions and the strictest penalties will be placed on them. And while I say this as well, the most important thing that I would do is advocate for the victims. We oftentimes forget the victims. And because of this, I would like to put in place rehabilitation groups for our victims. I would also advocate for states, for our parishes to have different courts established just for these crimes, these heinous crimes against women, ensuring a stricter and swifter penalties on these people. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the contestants. They did absolutely well. This is no easy segment. Battling nerves and balancing the ability to condense your ideas in a very short time. Put your hands together for them one more time. Thank you so much, ladies. You may exit contestant number 1.